Daniel believed in later. Later felt generous, endless, the place he stored every promise. But later is a thief. On a quiet Friday, his phone buzzed. Later ended. His best friend. The easiest call. He glanced at the clock, at an email draft, and let it ring. "I'll call tonight," he told himself. A second call, unknown number. A woman's voice broke the room. His friend's sister. The words didn't fit this world. Accident. Gone. "I'm sorry." He slid to the floor, back to a cold cabinet. The earlier voicemail waited, unplayed. He pressed play. Numbness took over. Days blurred. Food arrived. He couldn't taste. He shook hands he didn't feel. Grief warped time. Minutes crawled. Weeks vanished. He lived in both. He replayed every delay. The road trip for when work calms down. The concert next month. The message tomorrow. They kept a shared note called Someday. He opened it. Bold places, thin excuses. He can't look away from that answer. It flares like a warning on a dashboard. He wants to argue with a past version of himself. He wants to step through the screen and shake the shoulders of the man who thought time could be scheduled like a meeting. A few days later, he's helping pack up the small apartment his friend never returned to. Sunlight sits on the hardwood floor. The plant on the windowsill leans toward it, still alive, still reaching. There's a map on the coffee table with a line drawn in red across a coast they meant to drive. There's a sticky note on the map. One word. June. He finds a receipt tucked in a book. 2 coffees. The day they argued over whether to book flights or wait for a better deal. He hears his friend's voice teasing him. "You're gonna research yourself into a grave." They laughed. They ordered another pastry. They decided to be smart and wait. In the bedroom, a shoebox. Inside, a small square wrapped in paper. A birthday gift never given. A watch with a simple face and a quiet second hand. The band is stiff, new. There's an engraving on the back. 3 words, "Right now counts." Everything in him shakes. He presses the cool metal against his palm until the edges bite. He slides the watch on and hears it tick, a heartbeat strapped to his wrist. Here's the moment that cracks him open. He imagines his life as a room with 1,000 doors labeled later. He realizes most of those doors lead nowhere. Someone just wrote a comforting word on empty walls. For the first time, the phrase, "I'll do it later," sounds like a lie he told himself to avoid risk, discomfort, and the possibility of failing at something he cared about. He goes home and stops doing something that felt harmless until it wasn't. He stops waiting for perfect. On the kitchen counter, he places a jar. He fills it with small stones, each one a week. He counted them. He did the math. Rough estimate. A lifetime has around 4,000 weeks. He pours half, then half of what's left. He stares at the remaining stones. Not many, not nearly enough. He decides to steal from his own habits. If a task takes less than 11 minutes, he does it now. If a dream matters, he gives it 11 minutes today, not a vague promise tomorrow. 11 minutes to start a chapter. 11 minutes to stretch and lace shoes. 11 minutes to record an idea. He sets a timer and watches time in action, not in theory. First call he makes is the one he's been postponing for years. His dad answers on the second ring, surprised and cautious. Daniel forgets the script he rehearsed and just says what's true. I don't want to keep waiting until later. Let's have dinner. Silence, then a small laugh from a man who's been living in his own calendar of regrets. They pick a day that isn't down the road. They pick this week. He texts his friend's sister. Coffee? Not next month. Tomorrow morning. He meets her at the corner cafe with the wobbly table. They cry and also manage to smile about the dumbest jokes. They start a small ritual without naming it. Every Tuesday, same time. Not elaborate, not performative, just a presence you can count on. He opens the note on his phone and retitles it. Not someday. Today. He deletes half of it, the part that was there to impress. He leaves the things that put a pressure in his chest when he thinks of them. The book, the road, the project that never found its first day. And then he does the thing he swore he didn't have time for. He books the trip, single seat. He takes the map with the red line and folds it into his pocket. He drives the road in early autumn when the air is crisp enough to bite. At an overlook they'd pinned, he sits with his legs dangling over a drop and reads through old messages. He finally presses play on the voicemail. The voice he loves floods the space between the mountains. Hey man, pick a date. I'll make it work. I don't care if the flights are more. Let's go. Daniel doesn't move for a long time. He watches a hawk ride invisible currents. He listens to the wind that doesn't care about calendars. He cries like a man who has been pretending tears are impractical. He talks out loud to someone who isn't there. He promises to live like time is a fragile glass he refuses to drop. Back home, he rearranges his life by minutes, not by moods. He starts writing in the morning before his inbox teaches him who to be. He says no to meetings that could be emails and yes to breakfast with a friend who feels like home. He sets his phone in a drawer when he cooks. He feels the weight of a tomato in his hand and thinks, this is time too. The knife, the heat, the smell of garlic. Moments that used to vanish while he scrolled other people's lives. He stops being a collector of apps and starts being a collector of actions. He quits asking the week to be easier. He asks himself to be clearer. What matters now? What can I move 1 inch forward before the coffee cools? There's a quirk he keeps. He sets his watch 5 minutes fast. Not to arrive early to buildings, but to arrive early to his own life. He refuses to be late to the things that make his heart beat. He picks up the guitar that has leaned silently in the corner. His fingers are soft. They ache. He keeps going until small calluses appear, proof that time leaves gifts on skin when you use it. He joins a stranger's open mic night and shakes so hard he misses a chord. People clap anyway. Afterwards, a teenager tells him he wants to try next week. This is how minutes multiply. There's a Sunday run he starts. No pace goals, just movement. He remembers joking about a marathon and smiles at how human it is to make big promises and delay the first step. He takes the first step, the second. He learns that distance is not conquered by thinking. It's eaten by minutes. Here's the oddest discovery. He's busier with what matters, yet he feels less rushed. When you stop promising yourself a later that doesn't exist, you stop loading today with guilt. You just do the next true thing. He visits his friend's mom with flowers that don't try to be fancy. They sit at a small table and tell stories 2-3 times. They don't apologize for repeating. Grief isn't efficient. They look at each other the way people do when they know time is a brittle miracle. He washes dishes after and stares at his wet hands and thinks, this counts too. Not everything that matters asks to be framed. He makes a rule so simple, it feels like a dare. He won't end a day without 1 minute of courage. A hard call, a first paragraph, a gentle apology, canceling a plan that no longer fits, booking a train, saying, I love you out loud. He prints a small card and tapes it to the inside of his front door. 3 words from the back of the watch. Right now counts. It's the last thing he sees before he steps into the day, not a threat, a reminder. And when life pushes back, because it will, because life is never only sunrise runs and guitar strings and tearful coffees, he doesn't retreat to old habits. The car needs work. The project stalls. He misses a week. He feels the pull of later trying to reclaim him. He looks at the stones in the jar and moves one from the bowl to the glass. He hears the clink. He feels the cost. He resets the timer. 11 minutes. Start again. Here's the revelation that finally settles into his bones. Time is not found. Time is made. It's carved out of excuses with a dull blade that sharpens the more you use it. It's not a river that carries you. It's a garden that grows where you show up. He realizes he wasn't afraid of work. He was afraid of beginning. He wasn't afraid of failure. He was afraid of proof. If he never started, he could never be judged. But the only judge that ever mattered was a future version of himself staring back from the mirror, asking, why did you wait? He wears the watch every day now. Sometimes he still hears the voicemail in quiet rooms. It doesn't break him anymore. It calls him forward. Pick a date. Make it work. Go. And I want to say this the way Daniel learned to say things. Direct, simple. The minute you're in is a gift with no refund. You can't bank it. You can only spend it. Spend it on people you love, on work that matters, on rest that isn't escape, on laughter that folds you in half, on a step that scares you a little and builds you a lot. If you've been waiting for a sign to start, here. This is it. Pick one thing that has lived under someday. Give it 11 minutes today. Book the coffee. Send the text. Write the first 5 lines. Put your shoes by the door. The clock you hear isn't your enemy. It's your accompaniment. And when this ends and the room gets quiet again, don't scroll. Don't think yourself into another later. Take 1 minute you can hold with both hands. Use it. Then take another. If this story moved something in you, tell me one thing you'll do in the next 24 hours. Write it down. Claim it in the comments so future you can see the moment you began. And if you want more stories that pull you toward what matters, stay close. We'll keep time together. Right now counts.